that guitar while I pour. Baby, it's bad out there. No camps to be had out there. Your eyes are like starlight now. I'll take your
This isn't even security, this is just a check in your bag. We're not gonna make our flight.
More places than we ever could alone. Earning more miles.
Get it? Ha 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 ha. Well, there are the Andes Mountains. As you can see, they got some snow. Landing in Santiago. Pretty silent during the first few moments of this video here, but as it progresses, I'm going to make more and more commentary. I'm just watching this for the first time as well. This is a compilation of all the footage that I took while I was down in South America. I've been freezing my ass off up here in Logan, Utah. And man, this warmth was welcome. A lot of their produce is just starting to come into season. I think that they can harvest, you know, all year round, but they probably time it so that it comes into season right as a lot of other places are going out of season. That way they can, you know, have more of a desirable and demanded product. Got this whole landing here. Kind of cool to watch. Flying is one of my most favorite things to do, in all honesty. It was a long flight, but my brother and I literally had like the whole airplane to ourselves. So, you know, we just each chose a row in the middle section and just laid out. They had a bunch of extra food, so we got to eat to our full, you know, eat our fill. It was nice. There's the boss hog. My mind kept trying to make it seem like Mexico, but it wasn't like Mexico at all. just the industry that was there, you know. And then my mind would like wander towards European influence and then American influence. And then I'd be like, wait, but it's like Mexico, but it wasn't, you know, it's just its own thing. They have those toll roads, like those toll booths everywhere. They have nice roads and a bunch of these factories, which, you know, are like fruit processing factories. I think a lot of wineries. Really nice looking factories, manufacturing plants. But a lot of those, especially like out in the boonies, and a lot of those toll roads, you couldn't go like more than a few miles without expecting to pay a toll. And it was really weird. There's like a bunch of people always out selling a bunch of goods right in front of the toll roads, something that you'd never see here in like the US.
Got people out waving flags and stuff here.
Guessing his soccer team just won.
Yes. That first one. Look at
So we were thinking it was either had to do with soccer, but there was also an election going on at this point in time as well, so it could have been that. Lots of graffiti once you get into the inner city. You know, where the populace rises, the graffiti becomes very rampant. This is the first place that we stayed for the night. In Concepcion. There's a mall right over there that we went to, where I had breakfast, my first day in Chile. Holiday Inn Express. It was nice. You know, everyone's speaking Spanish, so you think of Spain, but then you look around and it's like, I'm in Mexico. And then you got your weirdo brother, and you're just like, alright, no matter where we go, it's just... it's just whatever. What a dork. They had a lot of basketball hoops, but I think I only saw, you know, people playing basketball like once. Other than that, it was always soccer. The hoops were a lot shorter here too. I don't think that I ever came across like standard regulation NBA sized hoops. We went to church. It was a Sunday. This is like a local bazaar, just a swap meet, a flea market if you will, whatever. Not very many tourists. Like, in all honesty, I don't even know if we ever came across any other tourists in the entire country. My brother and I walked to the beach right over here. Really nice. And then this is the mall. The people change so much depending on the location you're in regards to demographics and whatever. Picking up my brother who's been on a mission for 2 years down in Chile. So my family hasn't seen him for 2 years. He's been serving down there. Speak Spanish now. Really odd, you know. Also, it's a totally different demography in regards to just the buildings that you're in. You just see different types of people. When you're going to church down there, you see different types of people. When you're in the higher classes, regards to the lower class regions, just a huge diversity of individuals. So, that was the temple site where they're building a temple for the church. And my family members didn't walk up here with me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because there was some kids doing freaking some drugs right up here. I don't know. I think they saw them and they just got like scared or something like that. But I was like, ah, whatever, fuck it. I don't know. It was a cool little like hike up there though. Like, there's this little waterfall grotto up here, and it was like just a really cool atmosphere. This park right here, I've never seen more people making out in like an open area in my life. Like, it was rampant with just whoever was laying on the grass was just getting down. And then they had these really nice clay tennis courts. Super nice. Probably one of the nicest suburban areas that we ended up driving through right here. So I filmed it. Super nice area. If I had to say one thing, I think Chile needs to implement like a bunch of like trailer home type developments that they upkeep, that people in the really poor areas have like some aspiration of something that they can actually, you know, acquire in life. And then from there, just people can rise, you know, financially and everything in regards to their socioeconomic status and everything. Here's some graffiti that I caught, which was pretty cool in my opinion. I liked it.
I'm looking. No, see it? Oh, I'm not sure if I'm looking at the same stuff you are.
It was way cool. Yeah, the Indian one was kind of cool. See?
I've been to Spanish-speaking countries enough now that I can understand enough and speak enough to get myself around and, you know, communicate. Yeah, tons of graffiti all over the place, but, you know, like I was saying, I think that the country needs to implement like some really like cheap housing programs that are still in a sense like a step up, where people have the motivation and desire and also believe themselves that they can achieve, you know, being able to afford such a place. And then from there, it's just, you know, a stepping stone, a ladder for everybody. Went and visited a family in this kind of like country estate right over here. Really cute kid. I said to him like, ooh la la, and he just couldn't stop saying it. It was so funny. Out here with a local family that my brother got to know. Took us to a spot where we went and jumped off this bridge. I didn't jump off it. I was like, I used the excuse of, hey, I'm here to just film everything, you know what I mean? And this is a horrible shot coming up. I thought I was like getting under the bridge here, but turns out that there's like another layer. And yeah, I'm just filming like wooden posts. So that was really cool. I'm glad that I forgot to cut that part out of this video. So yeah, here's a family that we were with, and he's going to show off real quick and jump into the water. Although my brother is going to man up and he's going to jump in there as well, so I caught him jumping in. Really cool people. We're all just waiting in anticipation for him to just commit, but he's just prolonging his eventual agony here. Looking back on this moment, I wish I would have jumped, but I got long hair now, and now it's like I don't want to get my hair wet, you know what I mean? Even like, shh. Oh, there we go. I'm calling them out. But really, you know, the biggest wuss is behind the camera. I'm here admitting it right now, man. I start the countdown here in a little bit, but he still doesn't jump right on the countdown.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah!
What a wuss.
No, just feet first.
And then I have concern for the safety of my brother, because there's a bunch of rocks down there. I'm like, go feet first, bro. But he jumped in. I'm going to move here in a little bit, and I'm going to catch this other guy, this local guy, jump in here. He does a dive. He's a beast. Yeah, there's like a little channel right in there where it goes super deep, but right to the right and left of it, there's just big old rocky outcroppings. Just filming them real quick. We're just hanging out with this family for the day. We go and we play some soccer here in a little bit and have a little bit of a barbecue. Honestly, the best food that I had the entire trip was right here. And like looking at these people, you can definitely see like, you know, a difference on the appearance level in regards to a lot of the other countries in Central and South America. Just their body structure and stuff like that is just definitely distinguishable from the rest of the surrounding areas. But really great people, you know. Something else that I would like to mention is that, you know, when I'm traveling, especially in Central and South America, I get called gringo all over the place. And I think it's like, you know, it's not really something, for me at least, that seems to be like a negative connotation. It's just like they're just referring to me by, you know, a distinguishing factor that's easy to point out. And there I am. I just set up my tripod and went up over there, and I'm just checking out the area, just looking at it. But yeah, it really didn't seem like it was, you know, hurtful in any way to be called that, you know, or whenever I travel to be called that, because it's like, it's an easy way to distinguish. And I just kind of felt like I wanted to voice that, because back here in the US, it's like you call people by what they are, you know, just by terms that are easily identifiable to point out a certain group in relation to what you're talking about, who you're talking about, and stuff like that. And, you know, all of a sudden it's like this big old hate crime. But took a little photo with him. That's my brother. He's getting married soon. He's skipping out on all the traps and pitfalls in life. Went out here, came back, had a girl waiting for him or whatever, and now he's pretty expensive. He's talking about owning land and property right over here in this neck of the woods. A lot of the forests out here have been pretty much wrecked, and like most of the trees that you see, especially driving around, are all replanted. You know, and it's hard to find wildlife out here. So here we are playing some soccer. But like I was saying, it's super hard to find, you know, wildlife out and around Chile, because I was thinking that the logging industry has had such a, you know, a huge impact on all the local fauna and everything to that extent, where it's just kind of decimated the population of things in the area. So you really got to go out there and like immerse yourself in the wilderness before you even see anything. Like even traveling on the roads, you don't even see roadkill. It's super weird, kind of. It's like, where are the animals at? But, you know, it's just people. We did end up finding some wildlife, but we had to really like four-wheel it up in the mountains into a national park. But we didn't see anything up until that point. Not even bugs, it seemed like, or anything, you know. But yeah, like as you're driving, you just see all the trees planted in rows alongside the road and everything like that, just because the logging industry is probably one of their main exports there. My brother said that, you know, the main exports seems to be our mining. Like they have a huge copper mine, and then logging, and then fruit and produce, and then, you know, wine. And here we are just playing some soccer. They ended up wanting to do USA versus Chile, of course. I told him, I was like, we don't ever play soccer, man. I was like, but whatever, we'll play. So we played. It was fun. We just scored a goal right there. And sit here and play. You know, we played for a long time on this day, like a long, long time. Just a really beautiful scene right here, you know. While we're playing, we're stoking the fire over in the background. I'm going to show you what it looked like really quick. We got a river coming down through here. A couple people went fishing, ended up catching like some native trout, some like cutthroat trout. My dad ended up going fly fishing over there, caught a couple fish, had a good time himself. He went off by himself and probably meditated out in nature for a minute, you know. But this is the best meal that I had on the entire trip, and it was just, you know, out in the boonies with a family and just cooking on like a metal fence grate over a fire that we made, you know what I mean? So there we go, and now here we are in one of the national forests. Like I said, you know, it's hard to find any wildlife out here, but here we are doing our best. So we ended up going up and, you know, up in the boonies for a minute. And all of a sudden you actually see like the local trees that have been here, you know, but just due to deforestation, it's super hard to find anything, you know, other than like alien invasive species that have been introduced just for the logging industry. All this other stuff has been pretty much decimated just, you know, to harvest it and whatever. And along with that kind of went all the native wildlife. So just on a hike with my family, just, you know, really crazy looking trees. They're super cool. It's definitely like representative of its own place. Like you don't see an environment like this anywhere else on the world, at least anywhere else that I've been, you know what I mean? It's so hard trying to get your bearings here. There's a few places that have been super hard for me to like get my bearings as I was just wandering around. Like Japan was one of them. Japan was like super hard to try and pin down like what I actually thought the place was. And I kind of had a similar experience here down in South America and Chile. It's kind of odd, you know, living up here in you know, North America, right below Canada, right above Central America, whatever. It's hard to imagine all these people living down in South America, but man, there's a ton of people down here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Like Santiago's a huge Chile, then you have, you know, Rio de Janeiro up over in Brazil over there. It's a huge place. And then, you know, Mexico right below. We're much more aware of Mexico's presence, but, you know, it's almost like I'm more aware of all these overseas countries than just these like local neighbors right down the way, you know what I mean? It's still kind of far away, but it's like I'm more aware of like the Middle East and Russia and all these other places over in Europe than I am about just these places down in South America that are just right over there, you know? Super strange, but here we are with the family, just enjoying one of the national parks real quick. Getting some good shots of what the trees look like. Just super crazy. Like these pine looking trees right here are super gnarly. Never seen them anywhere else in my life. They're cool. And we actually saw some parrots, like wild parrots. But I ended up never being able to catch them on film. It was just like they were just there, they'd stop and fly away, you know what I mean? So I was never able to actually catch the parrots on film. But we did see some parrots as well. Just really colorful looking, like sparrow. A little bit bigger than, like, you know, sparrow. Smaller than a crow or a magpie, but definitely parrots. I did end up catching a woodpecker, which I think it's like their national bird here or something like that, because it's like the largest woodpecker in the world. It's like the red-headed woodpecker. There was a bunch of jokes that day about the red-headed pecker, whatever. Stupid. So yeah, we're just going on a hike up here. We just kind of wandered up into this national forest, really, you know. So my brother's been in Chile for 2 years, but he's been really restricted to like certain areas, so he hasn't been able to make it to a lot of these places. So we went and visited some of the places which he has been in and some of the people that he has met, you know, and a lot of it was religiously focused and things to that extent. And then we ended up going and checking out a lot of other places that he had never been to, so that, you know, he could get a little bit more feel of the country outside of the religious experience that he was kind of detained by, so to speak. So there's my mother and my brothers and my dad up in front of me. And my sister is back in home. She's got 2 little young ones, so here we are. Just peaceful, you know. We came across some people up here in a little bit, right around this bend, I think, that were getting some footage of this woodpecker as well. Just right up here. Oh yeah, there it is. That's a pretty good shot of it. I could hold the camera still, but it's super hard to get a good shot when you're zoomed in a lot, you know what I mean? Because even like slightest movements are just like the biggest movements when you're that zoomed in. So I set up my tripod right here to try and get a little bit more of a focused shot. But that last shot was actually, in all honesty, pretty good, so. You can hear him. Just pounding away for some grubs or whatever, you know what I mean? Right underneath the bark of that tree. And then my brother, he's kind of like been like a really hands-on animal enthusiast his whole life. He's not afraid of anything. He'll catch snakes even if they're toxic or venomous. He just uses sticks and whatever, or you know, tarantulas right here, obviously you can see, but and then I'm just sitting here, I'm like being the older brother trying to tell them all what to do. But he didn't want to, obviously. He wanted to have it crawl up his body and freak everybody out that was there.
Good idea. Yeah, thanks. He sprays you with his spiky hairs.
My other brother got up the courage to hold him as well. It's kind of crazy being a little bit older than your siblings, you know what I mean? Because you get to see them really just kind of like open up and start to flourish and stuff like that. And I can definitely see that with my younger siblings now. It's like, wow, you know, I remember being at this point in time in my life, and just, it's really kind of neat to kind of, you know, see them start to just like become their own man, you know? There's another bug we found. They call them like mini horses or something like that. This was a crazy beetle I saw, so I filmed it. There was a, yeah, my mom just said like there was a bunch of like black looking wasps or hornets that we saw as well. Really big, nasty looking things that you didn't want to land on you. I'm out just walking around town at night by myself. My brothers were like, oh, don't do it. I'm just like, whatever, I can handle myself. So went and walked around at night, you know. Obviously not much going on, especially in this part of town that I was in. So maybe if I was in Santiago, there would have been a bunch of stuff going on, but in that area there really wasn't anything. Thought I'd set up a little time lapse here. We were in like a little local market that was selling a bunch of, you know, cultural type goods. But like I said, we didn't see any tourists. I was kind of, you know, fascinated by the people that I saw purchasing the goods here. It wasn't tourists, it was actually other Chileans that were coming here to buy cultural things, you know. And I'm going to show you guys a menu real quick right here. Honestly, like I said, like, my brother's being a jerk. But, you know, this was like in a really populated area. Obviously, they had, you know, they didn't have all this stuff all over the place. And, like, tacos and burritos and stuff like that aren't a thing down in Chile. Like, you know, they're like, that's Mexico, that's not us. They don't eat that stuff. But, you know, obviously this place even has crepes. But like I said, the best food that I had was still that food that we had out camping with that family. This stuff here, it was alright, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like gross by any means, but it wasn't the best thing that I had while I was in Chile. I don't think they use a lot of spices with their food. You know, and I think that they could accentuate a lot of their food if they just, you know, used like more of a variety of like vegetables and herbs and stuff like that. But, you know, later on in the trip, I ended up finding a few places that I felt like did that quite well, but in a large portion of the areas, it was just like they just cooked it and was just like, here's the food, you know, it's food, whatever, and let's eat it. We're not here to like sit and immerse ourselves in the experience of food. Just let's eat and let's get on with it, you know, type thing or whatever. I don't know. Here we are, we're helping out a family. My brother knew a family that needed like a new stove to heat their house and stuff like that, so, or furnace, whatever, oven, wood oven. So went and helped them out with that, installed that, and I went and wandered around this park real quick over here, and my brother's doing this little stupid comical thing here with me. I think it's like, if I had to guess as to what all these little exercise things were, I think it's like a social, it's almost like a social medicine. You know, they have these all over the country where it's a bunch of exercise equipment just interspersed all over throughout the country.
So now he finished that. He got all the reps good. Now he just can't mess up on this guy right here. The Star Wars speeder replicator simulation. So now he just has to fly out of here without messing up his
In all honesty, you could get it like a decent workout. You know, it's not like super resistant, but if you're just somebody that's like trying to just get out and just do something, like, you know, it's better than nothing, but you're not going to get like huge or extremely fit using these devices, you know. But I was thinking it's like their answer to like a lot of the health problems that their nation is facing. My younger brother Branson said that they have a lot of problems with obesity and stuff like that, especially with soda. It's like they have this other thing where it's like they drink carbonated water, just soda water, like club soda. I'm just like, what the heck? Like, you have to specify, I want water sin gas without carbonation, otherwise they'll give you water with carbonation. I'm just like, what the heck? Like, why are you guys, like, in the US, we use this if we're making flavored drinks, but a lot of times people don't just drink this, you know? But they just drink it there. And obviously that was a leg press. He did it wrong, but whatever. And this is for, like, your abs. He was just messing around on it. Here we are climbing this little jungle gym thing. But yeah, you know, they have, like, water, sin gas. You have to specify it, and it's just like, what's this? And then this like medicine, and all their stuff has like caution and warning signs about this is high in sugar and everything like that, but everything has warnings on it. All their food has like huge blaring stickers on it that say like, warning, high in calories, warning, high in sugars. This is a little family that, my dad's a carpenter. So they had some broken windows, and obviously their oven was busted, so we went there and fixed up a bunch of stuff. And you know what? We went to like a Home Depot. Here's probably like the nicest place we stayed in. And honestly, it was like the cheapest place we stayed in. It was just the off season, so there was nobody here. So it was like super cheap. It looked super nice, but this is probably the cheapest place we stayed the entire trip. But you know, when you're on like a religious type experience, I feel like the majority of people that you probably meet demographically are in the lower income brackets, because that's the people that are really going to be struggling in life and looking for answers or whatever. So, you know, we went to a Home Depot and it was like all these nice goods, but it was like, I don't see anybody using any of this stuff in the country, but obviously our viewpoints are pretty biased in regards to the people that we're coming across, because we were introduced to people that were religiously searching for answers, and so obviously they're having troubled lives almost, or something like that, you know. But we had to wash our clothes because we couldn't find a laundromat that was open, so we washed them in the bathtub and used the fireplace to dry them out. So, and then here we are. We went to a ski resort up on a volcano. Pretty misty and foggy. It's in the off season right now. But in all honesty, the place looked pretty run down. Like, all the signs were wore out and stuff like that. Here's my brother being an idiot. He actually got hurt right there. He like pinched his leg on the thing, kind of. It was a pretty bad bruise. So we went on some little escapades up here. This is a really dumb moment. Just like, what the heck are we doing? We're trying to drive up the side of this volcano in this minivan. And that's my family for you, but we're all just loving it. And we're just bashing on rocks, and there's snow out there, obviously. Nobody around. We're just miles away from any, you know, sign of anybody else. So if something goes wrong, then we're pretty much fucked, but whatever. Just stupid. But we're having a blast. I have no idea what he's doing right there. I wasn't aware that I was catching him on film sucking his finger like that. I was too immersed in what was going on outside. It's a pretty steep grade, and there's just all those volcanic rocks all over the place. This is one of their ski resorts. I'm going to get a shot from the outside here in a little bit, which will give a little bit of a better perspective in regards to what the heck it is that we're doing right now. My brother just got told to go out and move some rocks so we can just floor it and try and make it up this slope right here. You can see some of those rocks just flying out of the way. Just stupid. I get a pretty good shot of the volcano later. It clears up for like half a moment, like while I was back down at the hotel. So my brother is going to film now. I'm going to stand here and be filming, and then my brother's going to film for a minute, and I'm going to... He shared this footage with me right here that he's taking right now, and you're going to see this moment from another perspective here in a second. Just stupid. My dad was convinced that we could make it up in this vehicle. He's from Wyoming. So he's got that freaking Wyoming attitude about everything. And if you know anybody from Wyoming, you know what I'm talking about. My brother has to rep his freaking Utah State gear wherever it is that he goes. He's so passionate about being a student at Utah State, so... Here we go. Here's that shot. Just dumb. What the fudge? It's a pretty steep grade. You can't... It's like... You know, your vision's still restricted on a camera, even with like a wide lens. It was just a really steep grade with those huge rocks all over. Just dumb. Went back down to town. This town was like comparable to like something like a Park City, I feel like, or something like that. Jackson Hole type thing, you know? Oh yeah, my brother just said, did you see that dog? Like, Mexico here's a couple similarities between Mexico and Chile. Obviously the language, however, the Spanish that they speak down in Chile is definitely different than in Mexico. They actually don't use some of the words. Like, I was going around, I'm pretty, you know, like vocal in my Central American Spanish. Down here I was saying some phrases that are pretty, you know, nasty or whatever, and in Mexico, and people are just like, what are you saying? You know? And then also kind of another similarity is the dogs. So after we did this, we found out that these were handicapped exercise things. We didn't know that before we got in here, but we were like, what the heck is this even for? But they're for handicapped people. And that's a huge lake in the background, if you're wondering. That's not the ocean out there. There's a bunch of people laughing at this, but I think it's mainly because these are for people in a wheelchair, and we didn't know that. So we're like trying to figure it all out. What an idiot. But yeah, they have dogs all over the country, just stray dogs all over. And you'd think in Mexico, the people are actually pretty nasty towards all the stray dogs, but here it's like the people are really loving towards them. Like, they feed them all, everyone comes up and pets them all and stuff like that, and you're just like, I didn't touch them the entire time. I was like, gross, get these flea bags away from me, you know? But my brothers were all like teasing me about that the whole time. They'd go and rub up on a bunch of dogs and then come and be like, oh, we're going to infect you with all their diseases or whatever, you know? But they definitely have a huge stray dog problem. And it's like, you know, in the United States, people are really adamant about getting like purebred dogs and like specific breeds. But in Mexico and Chile and Central and South America, the dogs, they're all interbred so much between every breed possible that it's like, it's its own breed of like mutt by now. It's like literally just like a breed of mutt, because they've all just interbred so much that there's no recognition between like pure breeds anymore or something like that. But they're all over the place. We went up and like even in the national forest, and here's the volcano, by the way, pretty good shot, you can see it smoking. Yeah, like even up in the national forest, we're like, why the heck are there dogs up here? And there's no people up there at all, but there's just stray dogs, and they're still friendly, but they're just like wandering around through the woods, and you're just like, what the heck? But definitely, like, you see more stray dogs in regards to like domesticated wildlife than anything else. Not really that many cats, actually. I saw like 2 cats the entire time, but definitely like dogs all over the place. So that was a pretty neat shot of the volcano right there. And this is us just rolling into Santiago. Oh man, this was a beautiful day. And that shot right there just, oh man, like this, the feeling of this place right here just was, it was really like just a really nice mood, you know? And that's the tallest building in Chile. Skyscraper, obviously. We're just walking around. You'd think that we would stand out, but honestly, we, you know, until we spoke, obviously, and then people knew, but here we are in the mall in Santiago. We're into the Apple store. I'm just getting a shot of some people passing by. People probably wondering why the fetch is this guy filming us or filming me or whatever. This place had definitely a different feel than, you know, the rest of the places that we were in. Like I said, you know, depending on where you're at, you're definitely going to see a different type of people. It's a pretty big place, so there's a huge diversity amongst, you know, the people that call themselves Chilean. And so you're going to see here in a minute, everybody's looking up in the sky because there was a really cool natural phenomenon going on. I guess what ended up occurring was the sun was passing through some ice crystals, you know, in the upper atmosphere, which gave this rainbow, this circular rainbow that went all the way around the sun. It was pretty dope. And everybody throughout the entire city on this day was you just continually looking up in the sky and stuff like that. I was getting a good shot of it, and some Spanish guy came up to me and he was like, "Oh, you know, it's beautiful. Do you know what it means?" And I was like, "Nah, man." I was like, "It's cool, though." I was like, he was trying to say that there's like some meaning, you know, like intrinsic, like spiritual meaning behind it all. Like it's a sign of something. He's like, "It's beautiful." And I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "You know, it's beautiful, but it's much more beautiful if you're enjoying it with somebody that you love." And then he like walked off, and I was like, "What are you?" I was like, "What are you saying, man?" There was a bridge right there where people were locking up all their lockets, kind of like somewhere in France, I guess, where, you know, you go there with your loved one and you lock a lock together. You're locking your heart up or something like that. This is the university right here. This is where that guy came up to me. He's like, "You need to be here with your amour," you know? And I was like, "All right, whatever, man." I was like, "I'm just loving it, bro." See. Now, alright, this is, we went and saw, you know, like an effigy to the Virgin Mary up on top of this mountain up here. It's like the second highest natural peak in all of Santiago, all the valley, I guess. This had a really cool feel. This is definitely Spanish influence right here, you know, from European Spain right here. Catholicism, I've traveled enough. You know, Catholicism has like a certain feel to me. You know, it's like, that's why I have a hard time like bashing on any religion, because I just love like the cultural aspects of it, where it's like you walk into a different place and it just has this totally different feeling, whatever religion it is, you know. Catholicism for me definitely has like that really intrinsic feeling where I just know it's like, this is Catholic, you know. And so we're walking up this trail right here, and you can see the statue of the Virgin Mary right there. Think those people are white, and Americans? No, those people are Spanish, from Chile. That's what I'm saying.
To realize that there's buses that come up here.
I'm about to give my brother some shit and really annoy him.
Heighten the experience. Throughout our exhaustion, we'll be able to reach greater heights as our body is struggling to stay conscious. We'll then experience euphoric moments unbeknownst.
Not even that bad of a hike.
It is a rough hike, folks.
Like 30 minutes.
He's just trying to accentuate his masculinity by downplaying the aggressive nature of the hike itself. But we'll be better for it. For if we would have taken the easy route, we would have not been able to experience the state of consciousness put into play by drowning, or draining, I dare say, drowning your body with an excessive workload, draining yourself of that which causes your senses to be rational. And in our irrational state, we're able to experience moments otherwise incapable during rational thought, only heightening the experience. Therefore, we're gaining the experience.
There was a bunch of people around us at this point in time, and so I was just like, I'm really gonna annoy him by just talking right now. It definitely shows that I was able to get under his skin by him throwing that water on me, so.
Through nonsensical expression of vocal chords.
And here's up inside. You know, the Virgin Mary's built right on top of this. And you have the Virgin Mary standing on top of the world, and she's crushing the snake. And for me, you know, it seemed like symbolic to the extent of she was conquering worldly things. And also, like, you know, she's called the Virgin Mary for a reason. Obviously, she fell to no man. I kind of feel like it definitely has that meaning when you talk about the temptations from the snake and all this other jazz, you know what I mean? Like, she's the one who didn't fall to, like, sexual temptation, but was still blessed with, you know, giving birth and being able to be the most perfect mother. And, you know, in doing so, it was showcasing, like, her spiritual and religious ascension above everybody else. The Catholic Church really focuses on Mary, you know, and it almost seems like they focus like more on Saint Michael and stuff like that than they do on Jesus even. Like they have Jesus on the cross and stuff like that, but you know, they have like their whole archangels. Like it's almost polytheist in my stance. Like you study other like forms of religions that are polytheistic and they have many gods. The Catholic Church has been around long enough, and I feel like they've tried to encompass so many values that they have in fact become a polytheist church. And you know, they have so many saints which literally govern pretty much everything that you can think of. So, you know, I almost have that viewpoint, but it was super weird. It was like they had Christmas music up there playing, and it was almost like just this very ominous tone, because I think very serious when I'm in like a Catholic place. It's like this very serious mood, you know, and everything has to be like all quiet and solemn, and you see Christ there just suffering and being tortured and, you know, whatever. And it was like almost creepy and eerie hearing like nonchalant, whimsical Christmas music being played, because it's like hearing that song "Ring Around the Posy, Pocket Full of Whatever," you know what I mean? Where it's like little kids like going around and like saying all this stuff, but it's like it was just like it was weird. It was a weird mood, but I loved it. We're visiting the temple right now. That was the temple in Chile. And that's it, folks. I'm back on the plane now, heading back to the US. And here we are coming into Salt Lake City. You can see the snow out there. There was snow in Chile, you know, even at the highest peaks, but oh man, we came back to blistering cold. You know, frostbitten cold, numbing cold, whatever you want to call it. That's my sister, right there. And here we go. This is what I came back to, folks. This is me walking out of my apartment like the day after, coming back home or whatever, and there you go. Back in the good old US of A. Logan, Utah, at its finest. So that was my trip to Chile. I enjoyed it, and I hope that you all enjoyed enjoying it along with me. So later, y'all.